Hello, YouTube. It's Sphere. I've always got something in the way. Trying to get all this stuff. Get your camera together, people. It's a great day to have a great day, everyone. It is Real Estate Tuesday. I'm so grateful to be here. Let me go ahead and start IG first. I got to start off with a smile. What's up? What's up, IG? Let's get Facebook going. It's a great day to have a great day. Yes, yes, yes. It is Real Estate Tuesday, people. It is Real Estate Tuesday. We are here, and I'm so glad to be here. Like I said, it's a great day to have a great day. And my name is Toria Howard, and I'm a real estate educator here in the beautiful city of Detroit and the surrounding areas. And I educate people on how to increase their financial IQ so they can purchase a personal property, investing in themselves, or an investment property. So I'm talking about my ebooks and all of that type of stuff. I do speeches and talks and all of the things. So I'm so happy to, come to you today. I'm working on homeowners today. So homeowners, even if you're not a homeowner and you want to be, this is where you need to be. So I'm so passionate about this because of the bag that I fumbled with my own personal home back in 2010. When I sold it in 2019, I should have never sold it. And it's worth almost $300,000 today. And I only bought it for $150,000. Who knew? So, I know now. So I'm teaching people how not to fumble that bag. So today, let's get to the today. Today, homeowners, I'm talking to you. So let's talk about it. So turn your house into a wealth building machine. And here's how, right? This is what we're talking about today. I know a lot of people probably about to slam me and say that this is not true. You cannot get it. You cannot do it. If you have the proper financial plans and you use the money that you have from your house properly, you can. So let's start with the foundation, right? Because we're talking about real estate. Equity equals your hidden cash flow. Understand that. Equity equals your hidden cash flow. So what I mean by that is most homeowners don't realize they're sitting on money. I've talked to so many homeowners before, they don't even know how much money they're sitting on, especially if you've made improvements. Equity grows through appreciation and principal pay down. And let's not forget, if you've made some improvements, like and I'm talking about not just maintenance, like getting a new roof, getting a HVAC system. Those are maintenance items. I'm talking about significant improvements where you updated your kitchen, your bathroom, you put smart electrical in, those type of things are the upgrades I'm talking about. So when we're talking about equity, if you bought a home in Detroit for 160,000 and the value raised to 190,000, right? Plus you paid down 8,000, you are now sitting on $38,000 in equity and money you can leverage. So that's what we're talking about. You can use your equity to leverage. So equity is not just paper value. Okay, it's not just what you can see, just on the paper. That's what it is from your mortgage company. Okay, it's something that you can use. Okay, it's a funding source. If you use it, money is a vehicle, and you have to learn to use your assets to make more money for you. So this is one of the things that you can do. So your equity is a funding source for investments, renovations, or a second home. People don't realize that you can pull your equity out to invest in other things. I talked to a lady before, and we were in a $1 million mansion. She was there. I was showing it to a client in Memphis, and she was like, "Yeah, I buy homes all the time. I buy and sell my personal home all the time, and I use my equity up." She said, "I should use her equity up," and she said she used it to invest in the stock market. So it's different things that you could do with it. Now, don't take your equity and don't choose something that you don't make money from. That makes totally no sense at all. So make sure that you are using the equity properly by using it to make more money. That's the purpose. So use appreciation to your advantage. That's the second thing. So markets like Detroit, West Bloomfield, Warren, the Greenway adjacent areas are appreciating. Some of these areas are appreciating 7 to 10% year on year. The national average appreciation is typically 1 to 5%, which is good still. But some places in Detroit and some of the surrounding areas are appreciating 7 to 10%. Now, I just posted yesterday about a zip code in West Bloomfield. Their appreciation last year was 9.1%. So if you did not buy a house in West Bloomfield last year, now it's 9.1%, even higher. So make sure that you're understanding these areas that you want to be in and don't wait, because appreciation happens every single year. So a home is bought in an area with 8 to 10% appreciation, annual appreciation, can grow by thousands every year, even if you don't touch it. It can grow. So make sure that you're buying in a great area. Look at the appreciation for that area, and if you're on my YouTube, like, subscribe, share. I appreciate it. Come back. And then, remember that you are buying like an investor. It doesn't matter if it's your personal property. Buy your personal property like an investor. Look at the possibilities of how the ending could go, right? Could you don't want to sell it, but if it all depends. I'm just saying, in an instance you don't want to sell it, can you rent out a room? Can you want to use that as a starter home and move somewhere else and use that as a short-term rental, a long-term rental, not necessarily like an actual tenant in there, but somebody that comes through sporadically, but at long periods of time. You have businesses coming in and out of your city that, they need 30 days because they're going to be in the office for 30 days. You have traveling nurses who, sometimes they don't want to live in an apartment, and you have a house, maybe they're there on assignment between 3 to 6 months. You can use your property for that. So, you always have some type of exit strategy, and know how much your rents are, know how much it can run for a short-term rental, a long-term rental. Talk to, these agencies that place people in, short, to long-term situations. Long-term meaning that they're staying longer than 3 months. So if they have a 6-month contract with someone, sometimes it's typically 3 months to like 90 days. You want to know how much you can charge during those times. Get with these companies that are placing people in these different areas and see how much they usually pay. So then you'll know. It's always good to know, just in case. You might want to rent out a room. Maybe you have a walkout basement, and you are, empty nester. It's so many different ways and strategies, right? So you don't have to flip a home to profit. Time to market beats timing the market, period. So time in the market beats timing the market, period. That's what it is. So making sure that you're buying in an area that's appreciated at least 1 to 5%, but typically that 7 to 10% range is a great range to be in. So the third thing I want to talk about is leverage your home the smart way without becoming house poor. We do not want to be house poor. That's the thing. Like, you want to make sure that you have a strategic financial plan for your home. And I talked about that last week and the week before. So use your home strategically. Don't let it use you. And a lot of people let their home use them. But I would say you let your home use you by not having a financial plan. See, I didn't have a financial plan, so my home ended up using me. I am a witness. It was me. I'm not asking for a friend. If you don't keep up with your, quarterly maintenance, at least your environmental and seasonal maintenance, that causes problems, huge problems in the long run. If you don't understand your home warranty, your homeowner's insurance, what's covered, what's not, and what you need to do, it could cost you in the long run. So make sure that you're understanding that maintenance needs to be done in order to, one part of it, not to make you house poor. So here are some options that you can think strategically. A HELOC, which I'm going to talk about in a couple of weeks. It's a home equity line of credit to fund renovations or start a business. right? Or invest in the stock market, or invest in your children's college tuition. I know people have used equity to pay for their kids' college tuitions. You can use that money for whatever it is. You got to pay it back when it's a HELOC, but you can't do that. Cash out refinance. So consolidate high interest debt. Use that to pay off high interest debt. House hacking, like I just said, renting out your basement unit. If you have a garage unit or extra bedroom that you're not using, that you can do that. Especially if you're in a college town where people come in and want to go to the games and don't want to, um, you know, pay for a hotel, stay at a hotel. They want to use a short-term rental situation. Listen, you can use your home to do the same thing. Maybe you go away from the weekend and let people stay at your house. I know it's kind of like, people don't like, I don't like people in my house. Maybe it's not an option for you. But if it is, maybe, like I said, maybe you're an empty nester. Maybe you are downsizing. You have these extra rooms that you want to, you can make money from. And then I was just talking about, the short-term rental situation. So if you have if you got a walkout basement that has its own door where people don't have to, that's a good optimal thing. That you can keep that other door closed and locked, and they can't use it. Especially if you can make it into, because a lot of basements in Detroit, especially, have ways to have kitchens and plumbing. Some of them already have plumbing in there because you have most of your laundry down there, and you might have a bathroom down there already. So you could do a small kitchenette. It can be a studio situation, or you might build out a room. You have a living room, however it is, you can still use that as a short-term rental, or a long-term rental for certain people that, like I said, traveling nurses, people coming in for business, um, you know, people who come through. I should have put my phone on do not disturb, spam. But those are some ways that you can use your home as a funding source, because it doesn't have to just be a sitting duck, and you sitting in it, and you use it for you at your advantage. Take the money out of take the equity, invest it. As long as you're doing something that's making you more money above what you already have to pay, then you should be using that. So, for example, if you using a $25,000 HELOC, and you don't have to use the whole thing with a HELOC either. So that's another thing. It's like checks. You maybe you have $100,000 in equity, but you only want to use 25 or 30 or 10. You don't have to use the whole thing. So using your 25, just use a 25,000 as an example. So using your $25,000 HELOC to renovate a kitchen can increase your home value by 35K, creating instant equity. So you want to make these improvements. A small investment can, maybe double your profit in the end. You double your equity in the end. So always run the numbers. What is it that you can do in order to improve your property to make it make money for you? Will this move increase my net worth? That's what you want. Your equity equals your net worth. Because when you go and you get a loan, or they ask about if you own a home, they're going to check that. They're going to check if you have access to cash, like your equity, in order to not either, if not to default. You don't want to default, but in fact, if you do default, they want to know that you have money in reserve, stock accounts, life insurance that you can pull from, those different types of things. So the fourth thing I want to talk about is turn your home into your first investment property. So people, don't like the word starter home for some reason. I don't know why, but you have to start somewhere. And it's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you get a huge lump sum of money, or maybe you changed industries, like you went from making 40,000 to, 250,000. Listen, get what you want, right? But always start where you are, right? Hi, Kyla. So make sure that you understand your first home is your starter home, and it's okay. You don't have to stay in it forever unless you want to make it your forever home. It's up to you, but you start somewhere. So typically, when you want a starter home, you want to get optimum bedrooms that will make it, higher in rent 3 bedrooms, preferably 1.5 baths, especially here in Detroit. You always typically get a 1.5 bath. As long as you have a 1.5, you good. 1 bathroom is kind of a stretch, but you still can get good money depending on the neighborhood. But 2 bathrooms is optimal because Section 8, depending on the area, or 3 bedroom, 2 bath, it's between 15 to 2,000. Depending on the area. So, you have to, if you choose Section 8 as your renter for your, this home. So your first home, like I said, is your wealth starter. So not your final destination. So make sure that you use some strategies when you're thinking about purchasing this, right? So live in it for 12 months. That's a FHA requirement. So if you get an FHA loan, which is a government loan, then you have to stay in it for a certain amount of time. Then rent it out, move somewhere else. Or you might want to stay in there 2 years and get yourself together and then move, whatever the case may be. Use rental income to pay the mortgage. If you still have one, maybe you bought a house from the land bank, maybe you bought a house for cash, but you can still, make sure that you fix it up to be rental ready, because you don't want to be a slumlord, of course. So, make sure it's rental ready and then rent it out. Know how much it costs. And that's what I'm saying as far as exit strategies. When you're buying a home, always know your exit strategies, regardless if you're an investor or not. You always buy a home like an investor. So can it cash flow? How much can I rent this out for? What are the short-term, long-term rental rates? Those different types of things, you should have those numbers in your head so you know what to buy. And also your appreciation, making sure that you are buying in a neighborhood that's appreciating. Between the 1 to 5% is the national average, but 7 to 10% is the optimal. Just like I posted yesterday about West Bloomfield, their appreciation went up 9.1% last year. Is it 48221 last year? Appreciated 7.1% last year. So you want to make sure that you're in areas and there's a lot of areas in Detroit, in the pockets, that are growing fast, because you got the Joe Louis Greenway, which includes 28 zip codes from downtown, or I should say east side downtown, all the way to Dearborn. So if you follow that road, that 28 zip code stretch, going from the east side of Detroit all the way to Dearborn. Dearborn is the cutoff. Then you should be buying in those areas if you're thinking about buying in Detroit. Some of the areas that I can name offhand is like 48224, 48204, 48206, 48238. What else? 4824. Well, I forgot what the zip code is for Dearborn, but it's those zip codes along that line, including downtown Detroit, all the way to Dearborn. So if you follow from, kind of like that 94 line from east side all the way to Dearborn, that's optimum. And there's other little pockets too, though. So you have to learn what's going on in them different neighborhoods in order to buy like an investor. 48221 is a great area. 48219 is still a good area. Rosedale Park, that area is still a good area because they're doing new things over there. The Cooley High area, which kind of includes the Rosedale Park area, they're redoing Cooley High. If anybody did not know that, they're redoing Cooley into a community space. So people are going to want to be over there. So just understand what's going on in the city, and then purchase your next home with your with low down payment. Again, so you get into a home, right? It's like a house hack. You take that first starter home, and you have to either refinance it to get it out the FHA, or if you have a conventional loan, you can do that, but you only can have one FHA loan at a time. So what you would do is you would refinance. If you bought that first home with a FHA loan, you will refinance it out to a conventional loan. Then guess what? You're first time home buyer again for FHA, and use the low down payment for FHA to buy your next home. So that's how that works. So another example I could give you is your first Detroit home rents for $1,500 a month, like $1,550, right? With a mortgage of $1,100, you earn $450 a month. plus appreciation plus equity. Just think about it like that. That's what you're cash flowing. Typically, they say that if you're cash flowing at least $200, that's good. But I like 500. My number is 500. I would love for a property to cash flow after expenses because you have to have a financial plan to keep maintenance up on that home. So after expenses, cash flowing between $400 is great for like a single door. Now, if you buy a multifamily like we have here, we have we call 2 family flats, 3 family flats, 4 family flats. You're talking about getting that per door. So if you have a 4 family flat and maybe they're all 3 bedroom, 1 bath, you could get 1,500 for. That's 1,500 times 4. So think about it in that sense too. And there's a lot of 2 family flats that are 3 bedroom, 1 bath, right? Still 2 doors. So you can live in one, rent out the other one, and then move out a year later. Same thing. So you don't have to just do it. And you can buy you can use the FHA loan and have it as a residential property as long as it's 4 units or less. Anything over 4 units, then it's commercial. But if it's 4 units or less, you can still use it as a residential property. So just think about it like that. So think about building a portfolio with it without needing the investment down payment. You can also use your equity to invest in your next home too. People do that all the time. So we're not selling it. We're just using the equity. So if you buy right and you buy where it has instant equity, for example, my client just closed a couple weeks ago in the area. Her comps, she bought the house for 110. She already did some improvements. She painted, she redid her floors, she did her carpeting. She's going to redo her kitchen. So she has a few comps around that's between 180 and 160. So she already had an upside when she bought her house in the first place. So as soon as she does her improvements, she already winning with at least 50,000 in equity. So make sure you buy right. So the fifth thing is upgrade your home strategically to boost net worth. You have to know what are the best areas in your home to upgrade because everybody doesn't, want a fancy, you know, den or whatever. So know what are the we all know what the best places in the house are. Even if you don't, the number one thing in the house is the kitchen. So not all renovations are equal. So you want a higher ROI. You want to upgrade your kitchen first and foremost. Your kitchen, even though people that don't cook love a good kitchen, they love good lighting, they love good black backsplash and countertops and cabinets and all of the things, and especially if it flows well too. So fix your flow. So kitchens can give you 60 to 80% ROI. So you invest in so if you invest in renovating your kitchen, you can get 60 to 80% return on investment. That's what ROI means if you didn't know. Bathrooms is the second thing, especially that master bathroom. People like to know that they have a sanctuary, and it don't even have to be real fancy as long as it feels good, right? You want to have a feel good bathroom. So bathroom upgrades to give you 50 to 70%. So think about if you upgraded your kitchen and your bathroom, and at the top, you would then increase your ROI 120%. No, more than that. I'm sorry, math is wrong. 150%. Landscaping and curb appeal. People love to pull up to a house and see a beautiful outside. Doors, replacing those iron great looking things that people used to have on the houses back in the day. Replace those with, good looking structural posts, having a covered porch, having shrubs and flowers and things of that. I mean, right now things are, but, kind of going into the fall and it's cold, but still, having that great curb appeal can increase your home 10 to 20%. And energy efficient improvements are always great. But because we have basements here, a basement can give you 5 to 20% of ROI depending on what you do to it. It can be even higher. It can be up to 30% ROI for a basement depending on what you do to it. So you need to make sure that you are renovating smartly. right? So, for example, a $7,000 bathroom update can return $11,000 at resale. So you up on her up, you're up. So renovate with intention, not emotion. So make sure that go to open houses in your house, your neighborhood.
Teachers, please come and pick up your students from
Of
the
course, they gotta
cafeteria.
interrupt me.
Fifth grade teachers, please
Gotta
come
pause
to
for the
the
cause, y'all. I'm
cafeteria
at
and pick
work.
up your students.
But anyway, they don't renovate with renovate with intention, not emotion. So the sixth thing is build multiple streams of wealth for one property. You can do that. Your home can generate cash flow, equity, tax benefits, and leverage future assets, right? So, for example, depreciation saves for rental homes, increase in value over time, mortgage interest deductions. You can call and get that if you have a good relationship with your lender. Rental income, appreciation, cash out opportunities. So make sure that you understand all of the things that you can do with your property. Like I said, depreciation if it's a rental property, depreciation savings, increase in value over time. If you bought right, you use the equity, mortgage interest rate deductions, right? Having those conversations, see if you can reduce your interest rate, rental income, appreciation, and cash out opportunities. So one good real estate move can change your entire financial trajectory. And that's what you want to do. You want to use the real estate to you want to work the real estate and not the real estate work you, okay? Because everything your real estate can be a money vehicle for you, and put that thing in something else that's going to make you more money. So that's it for me today. I talk longer than I usually do. I don't know why it took me so long today, but I love teaching, so I can talk. But let's get together to accomplish your real estate goals. Please tap in with me. I do have a homeowner's guide for you called House Rich and Money Smart: How to Turn Your Home into a Wealth Building Powerhouse, where I have all of these things that I discussed in there, but I give you worksheets and all the things that you can do to get your numbers right. So this is Tori, a real estate educator. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in. Make sure that you subscribe. Okay, tap that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow me. Share with people that you feel like needs this information. Have an amazing day, everyone. Bye, YouTube and IG, I should say. Bye, YouTube is fear.